Uh, I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Okay. I keep hearing somebody knocking, and I think that's outside. Some idiot. Okay. Time for part two of my epic 1 month uh, drama sesh. Oh boy. So this will date this episode. Uh, May 17th was the last time I streamed. Yes. May 17th was the last time I streamed. So, okay. So, like I was saying yesterday, uh, and I kind of just trailed off into bitching about Donald and work and whatnot. Okay. So, I'm sitting there, minding my own business, and I get a text from my brother's friend, Tess, who gives us rides and shit. And she's like, "Hey, now before this, it was there was a chick that was sitting in the front seat when Tess came to pick us up, and there was a baby in the back seat, and I didn't recognize the blonde. I knew who Tess was at the time. I had known her for a few weeks thus far, and so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wow, she's fucking gorgeous. She's in a nice, very, very nice. And I'm not even saying this to be a dog. I literally mean like it's a really nice sundress that she was wearing. And my brother's like, I'm sitting up front, and Tess is like, well, he's driving, so and my brother doesn't have a license, so complain about that if you wish. It's beating a dead horse at this point. And so Tess sat in the passenger seat. So this this girl is sitting in the front seat. So she gets out and she comes around the Jeep and white night mode activate. I immediately get out of the mind you, I am shirtless, covered in dirt, with a sweatshirt hoodie over me because it's starting to get windy, and I have my lunchbox, which is covered in filth, on my lap. There's a baby on the opposite side of me, not in the middle of the seat, mind you, in the back seat, but next to the passenger side rear door. And I just again white knight mode activate. I get out and I open the door, hold the door open for her, and she slides in, sits down, and I sit down. And then comes the awkward fucking situation of there's a baby seat, there's a car seat where she should be sitting. So take I she hands it to me and I put it in the back. But there's so much shit in Tess's Jeep, it's not going to stay. It's going to fall and hit her in the back of the head, or hit the baby in the back of the head, or hit me. So it wasn't a play, first and foremost, before anybody goes, "Oh, Darth, you smooth son of a bitch." No, I'm not trying to like rest my arm around her shoulder. No, I've got my arm in the like behind her on the back of the seat with my hand pressed against the back of this fucking seat so it won't move because her suspension in the Jeep sucks. So that motherfucker was going to jostle around. So I'm awkwardly twisting myself and contorting my arm into a location so that I can hold this child seat in the back of the Jeep on top of a bunch of junk and clothes while this really attractive woman is sitting beside me. And thus I realized who it was. This really sweet girl from my past. Her name is Daniela, and she was going out with this kid named Chris at the time when I met her. And Chris is this pasty ass white kid who can't fight to save his life, is a total loudmouth and a pussy. And how she got with him, I will never know. But holy fuck, is he lucky or was lucky. But yeah, Chris was friends with my brother at the time, and so Danny, which is her name, which is how I call her, and everybody else calls her. Danny would come over with Chris because they were dating, and they'd smoke pot and drink and just hang out with the rest of everybody. And so, yeah, I had a crush on her back then, back in the day, and I'm talking, fuck, him for like 3 4 years, maybe longer, or around that, to the point they moved in together. And she was 16 to, oh fuck, probably 15 to 19. Yeah, I think 15 to 19, because I think she's 23, 24 now. Um, and that's how I knew her. And she introduced herself. She's like, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "I'm Danny. I'm, Chris's ex." I was like, and it's just it all like the like release the river and just the dam let go, and it's just all, oh my god, you're the attractive girl from way back when. Whew, whew, wow. She's like, yeah, like, and she starts trying to talk to me while I'm again covered in sweat, dirt, and filth, with nothing underneath my sweatshirt slash hoodie, while my hand is awkwardly holding this car seat, while we're both bumping around with a baby in the back, and my brother is horribly driving with Tess just pissing and moaning and being a loudmouth. And so we started talking, and I'm not shitting you. This is the impression I had, and this is how fucked up my head is. The first thing out of my mind was, "Holy fuck, she sounds and looks like Luna Lovegood." I believe that's the character's name from Harry Potter, the ditzy blonde that was in that shows up in Order of the Phoenix. I was like, "Wow, she's like Luna Lovegood," and not in a bad way. Like, I mean, yeah, like I had to say like the ditzy blonde, but like I don't know, just her tone, mannerisms, and just attitude, like vibe wise, it's like Luna Love. Ooh, I don't know. Like that's the vibe I got. Like that's what my brain's like. Brain's like Luna Lovegood. She's reminding you of Luna Lovegood. And we were talked most of the time, and then again, my brain decides when we get dropped off at my place so I could shower and my brother and me could take a shower because my brother's going to hang out with Tess and Danny. Also, the baby in the back seat. For those who wondering whose baby is that, it's Danny's. Danny's 2-year-old son, Oscar. More on that in a second. So, so my brain and my mouth kind of just blurt shit out at times. And we get upstairs, and my brother's like, "So, that's Danny." And the first thing I say, just like I'm tired, I just I'm not thinking clearly. I go, "Yeah, I want a piece of that." Just immediately blurt that out, and he starts laughing, and he's like, "Well, she's single. Ooh, challenge accepted." So we fast forward. We fast forward a week. I think I saw Danny 2 more times after that. Uh, Once more with her son, and then once more without her son, with Tess picking me and my brother up from work. And then Danny got dropped off at work, and Tess texts me, and she's like, "Hey, Danny wants me to put a good word in with you because she likes you, and she's kind of had a crush on you since she was hanging out at your place way back when." And my brain, in the back of my head, it wasn't like a solid voice. Like, you know how your thought, your internal monologue is very loud when you're thinking about something like, man, I'd really like to punch that fucker in the face. Wasn't like that. When I read that text, it was like an echo. Like, picture a very empty stadium, and there's one person in this fucking stadium, and all of a sudden, and it's just, you hear the echo. You're in one of the hallways to the stadium, and I faintly heard Kobe. That's all I heard. A faint echo of Kobe, and that was it. So I'm all shits and giggles now. I'm like, ooh, oh wow, this is strange. This is bizarre. So I'm like, oh, okay. And now the overthinking, paranoid, insane man comes in. And I'm like, fuck. Well, how do I handle this situation? I want to touch that boob. But how do I touch that boob without being a creep? Hmm. Hmm. This is a conundrum. This is this is this is a puzzle. How do I handle this? So I just added her on Facebook and messaged her like, "Hey, Tess told me you want you want to put a good word in or whatever. Hi." And then we just started talking. Hang on. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Quite parched. Also, is the lag gone, Sten? Because I don't know. Actually, hang on. Maybe stop downloading Godzilla. Shh. Totally not illegally pirating a Godzilla movie at the time. So, anyways, so I start talking, and she starts talking, and it just goes on from there. Like, it's smooth sailings. It's probably the most smooth sailing for talking I've probably ever had. No awkwardness, nothing. Nothing. And still, in the back of my head is that lone man in the stadium while I'm standing in the hallway, and I just keep hearing Kobe. Not even a full thought sound, not even like an internal monologue. It's just a faint echo in the back of my skull. Kobe. Fuck. Also, off tangent for the people who are going to be watching this going, Darth, why did you have your title Small Penis? Well, I have a car for you. That's a Porsche ad from 1986. I think it's a Model 86 Porsche. I think it's a 911. Hang on. Hang on. Because it's going to bother me now. A Porsche 944 Turbo Coupe. Uh, a loaded 89, by the way. So good on you, Porsche. But yeah. So talking, shooting the shit. Shit's going pretty well. She comes to the shop with Tess to pick us up. It's fine. Totally fine. Now here comes the convoluted, like, wait, what moment? Uh, so her son, and I'm probably not going to be able to hold a straight face saying this because I'm just, oh, tis a knot, my friends. Tis a horrible, insane knot. A web of debauchery. That's it. It's a web of debauchery. Her son is my fourth cousin, and her ex is my third cousin. I gave you guys some times to gasp and faint and laugh. Like mockery ensued. I'm already prepared for the stockades and the fucking rotten fruit and vegetables being tossed at me and laughing. Look at this fool. Laugh. uh, I don't give 10 fucks. I think all I have on me are 3 fucks. So yeah, Danny is the mother of my fourth cousin. Which if I remember correctly, and Sten just chimed in, not really a lot of genetic sameness with third cousins. You would be correct, good sir. Not really a lot. There's quite a few missing chromosomes in the clan, but third cousins, hmm, I think there's like an 8.5% similarity. I think genetically, and then fourth cousins, I think well technically it'd be my father's fourth cousin once removed. And I think it would be my fourth cousin twice removed. My brother's just trying to comprehend the knot of family tree genealogy bullshit. Science and genes, Dan. Yes, science and genes. So you might be saying there's not really a lot of genetic sameness. Totally get that 100%. Couple of my friends though have called because a couple of my friends like to apparently think I'm like Jon Snow because I know nothing. They've come to call Danny, mother of cousins, and me Jon Snow. Uh, and then they started joking, going, oh well, Darth, if you have a kid with Danny, that's gonna be hit your fourth cousin's half brother, and it's just you're just gonna have in your family tree going down. It'll be Darth on the family tree. And it'll just be a fucking clenched fist of branches. But the problem really is town. Like the town I grew up in. That's where the problem really is. Like that's where the real stigma is gonna kind of sink in. Uh, Hang on. So that's where the big problem kind of sets in is her kid has my last name and I'm dating her. Well, we're not really technically dating right now. Uh, we're in the get to know each other phase. But she's interested, I'm interested, and if it happens, it happens. That's how both of us see it. That's how we both have come to this crossroads. Now here comes the drama. Like that was the little drama. Like baby Oscar and the fucking bullshit of that. Like totally fine with that. I could give two like I don't even have enough fucks to give for that. Like it's a little weird. Like I'm not going to lie, it's a little weird cuz I'm like cuz Josh on a few occasions have poked fun at me. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing tonight?" And I'm like, "Uh, not much really. Probably going to eat and hang out with Danny." And he's like, "Oh, you're not going to play Stellaris with me?" Which I still have to. I still have to play Stellaris with uh, Josh because I added him on Steam. But he's like, "Oh, so you're gonna fuck your cousin's mother?" And then that kind of thing, like so that kind of like it doesn't. I was gonna say it doesn't irk me. It doesn't, but like the back of my head screams a little bit at that realization, but then it just disappears because it's like, oh wait, fourth cousin. But now, yeah, going on to the main entree or the entree itself. Uh, so Oscar, Oscar's father, Danny's incredibly recent ex. Okay, I'll have to explain my cousin Oscar, my third cousin Oscar, because I have a second cousin who's his father who's named Oscar, and I believe baby. Okay, there's three Oscars that I know of. There's Big Oscar, which is my father's cousin, my second cousin, then his son, my third cousin Oscar, little Oscar, and I think he might be junior. I'm not sure because again, there's so many fucking cousins and family members on my father's side of the family. I can't keep track of them all. Like Christ, Ricky's ex Jade was didn't even know she existed until I found out she. Um, and then there's Baby Oscar. So if I say Baby Oscar and Little Oscar, you'll know. Big Oscar has nothing to do with this tale. So, uh, where to be? Okay, so after Danny left Chris, she started talking to Little Oscar, or for the story, for the purpose of this, I'll just say Oscar. So she started talking to Oscar, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened because Oscar is this like troll of a person, and I'm not exaggerating that at all. Like he is a dumpy hick, like full on hick. Holy fuck! I did not know how hickish he is. Like the stereotypical fat American hick is an understatement for Oscar. And then you have him dating Luna Lovegood. Like that's the only the only way I can describe it to you guys. I just don't know. I honestly don't. I don't even know why she's attracted to me. But then I'm looking at Oscar for the first time, and I'm like, how the fuck did you get with her? Like, phew, Like, and I consider myself a very rugged 3.5, pushing maybe a 4 on the scale. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like a solid 8.5 compared to your fucking like 3. Like on the like on the look scale. Like, good God, he is not a looker. He's also I'll get into that in a second. Sten and Dan, I'm not sure if Dan's been reading the Skype chat, but Sten knows the majority of what I'm talking about because I brought it up I think a week ago. I think it was a week ago. It feels like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Like I've lost all sense of time. So there's that. Now going into going into going into that, uh apparently, not only is he a troglodyte, but he's also just a shitty human being because he was cheating on her the entire time. Like, the entire time she was dating him, talking before they started dating, during their dating, during her pregnancy, up until now, even now, he's been cheating on her with 2 women. One of them is married, the other one, she's just a side piece. Yeah, he's been fucking for God knows how long. And the way they broke up was Danny found out finally, called him out on it, and he said, "Well, I'm not fucking this one because the other one's pussy is better, so I'm fucking that one. So I'm only cheating on you with one woman now instead of 2." And so Danny said, "Fuck this," and left. And so she moved out, took the baby. She's staying with her family now. And so that's the situation. Uh, she's got a nice head on her shoulders. She's working part time right now. She's making $1 more per hour than me, but she's only working like 9, 10 hours. But that's because she has a 2-year-old she has to take care of. Sweet, sweet as could be. Very caring. Very, very down to earth. Uh, few problems though, and they're not problems to where it's like, no, not gonna touch that boob, or just toxicity. She's really sheepish, and she's really uh what would be a good word? Not paranoid. Uh maybe afraid. She's sheepish and afraid, even though I think those two can be interchangeable. Examples. She speaks incredibly softly to the point that I have to ask her, "Can you speak up?" Well, she's not twitchy. It's just like she's really quiet. And when I'm like, "What did you say?" Like, just how I said it, like, "What did you say?" She gets really, like, she flinches, and then she tries to speak up. Sheepish, not cheapish. Uh, like, it's a sign of abuse because in like, now I'm sounding like a dickhead by saying like, "Oh yeah, this is kind of a problem," but it's abuse. It was caused by abuse. That's a problem. Like, I'm not saying like it's a problem for me. It's just it's a problem that she has to deal with. Is like the way my cousin treated her for 5 years. Just the way he spoke to her, the way he acted around her, all of that. She's quiet. She's afraid of speaking up. Um, When she finally got her, I went with her to go get her phone in Stoughton. Uh, she asked for my phone number, so I we traded phone numbers. We started texting. I was oh god, I think it was when I was in Plymouth. Yeah, I had to have. I think it was the day we were in Plymouth. I texted her, and as you know, autocorrect happens. It doesn't leave periods at the end of your goddamn text messages, and so the one text message I sent her that didn't have a period on it, she actually combed through the whole lit like our entire conversation, and she thought I was genuinely mad at her. She thought I was genuinely mad at her, and she was absolutely worried that I was mad at her, and she was apologizing to me profusely because I didn't put a period. That's a level of fucking abuse, like, whew, to where, like, I have to tell her, like, "I'm not mad with you. Like, I just accidentally forgot to put a period because I'm tired from work." So there's shit like that. During this during this time, I'm jumping all over the place because there's so much fucking insane drama bullshit. During this time, literally the last day of fucking May, I get a message on Steam from, and I'm not sure if anybody here will remember her, Jess. I get a random fucking message. Just got out of work. I just getting out of work, or I'm heading to the shop to end my day at work. I get a message. Yeah, I'm having complications with my pregnancy, and I need you to tell my boyfriend that the baby isn't yours. And apparently, and for those who don't know, Jess is one of the people I had an affair with, had a foursome with back in November, December, and she found out she was pregnant, and she was, I believe Jen was here, Queen was here, Sten, and I maybe Dan was here, but she was heavily drinking, found out she was pregnant in February or late January, mid February, when around that time, and her boyfriend found out about me, blocked me on Facebook, so I couldn't message her. But she still has me added on Steam, and she starts messaging me, dumping these fucking essay long posts about how she doesn't feel good. She has the baby with her. He's not answering her phone. He doesn't want anything to do with her. He absolutely doesn't believe the kid is his. He thinks it's mine. And I'm just sitting here kind of laughing at the absurdity of it because it's his girlfriend and she needs medical attention. And he's so spiteful and vindictive that he's not going to help her. And so she's like, "Can you please message him? Please, please, please." Tried messaging him on Facebook. That didn't work. Um, Tell her it didn't work. And she's like, "Okay, fine, thanks." And so I had to deal with that fucking drama. She never hit me back up to let me know if she's okay or not, but I'm guessing she's okay because she's still playing Ark Survival, which is the only game she has on Steam. Um, but going back to that's I think that'll be the closing of my story with Jess. Going back to things that about Danny, she's just sweet. She really is. Um, she's a great mother. She's always got Oscar with her all the time. Our first date, quoting air quotes, we went to the park. Me, her, and baby Oscar. We went to a little fucking school playground. Sat down with her. Got to talk to her for a little bit, for a few hours. Got her and baby Oscar some food at McDonald's because he loves French fries. Uh, Played with him. Played with her. Not in that way, pervs. Um, yeah, just had a generally good time. Um, and then plans kind of fell through between me and Danny because I had asked. This is when Deadpool 2 came out. Okay, now we're going into things to where people will be like, "Oh, okay, around that time." So Deadpool 2's coming out, and this shows you just how awful my luck is. And Danny also says that she has terrible luck. Um, so Danny's car's broken at this point. She's apparently a horrible fucking driver. She backed into and fucked up her car so severely by hitting a metal guardrail that she needs 4 new tires and an axle alignment on top of, oh god, I can't remember the other things she needed fixed. But Deadpool 2 is coming out. So Tess is giving her a lift. She's carpooling her to and fro wherever she needs to go. And so we're hanging out one night and she's like, "Oh, I was supposed to see Deadpool with my aunt uh on a Sunday. I think it was 2 days. I think Deadpool came out on a Friday and I was supposed to see it on a Sunday because that was my only day off." And I'm talking to Danny in the back seat and I'm like, "Yeah, I was supposed to see Deadpool Sunday, but my plans got canceled." She's like, "Oh my god, I was going to go see it with my dad, but he canceled on me because reasons." And I'm like, "Wow." She's like, "Yeah, it kind of sucks. I really want to see it." I'm like, "You want to go see it with me?" She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't mind taking you out to go see a movie." That's planned date, air quotes, number 2. So here's the plan. The plan that we both came up with. Danny's mother, and again, you got to go into some complicated lore with Danny. Danny's mother was driving with her younger sister, and if I remember correctly, Danny has 2 brothers, 2 older brothers, and then a younger sister. Danny's sister and her mother were driving through town during a storm. One of the, like there was a Sten might remember that, like the really awful windstorms we were having. I think in May or late April. I just remember really bad windstorms because we were trying to pick up picnic tables at the ice cream shack trying to mow, and the wind was strong enough to be knocking over like 150-pound solid oak like picnic tables. Well, during that, a massive branch fell onto Danny's mother's car and fucked up her neck. And her sister saw it just in the nick of time and ducked, and she wasn't harmed. So Danny's mother's been in physical therapy and she can't do a whole lot. I think it was the microburst. I think that's it. So it was it was around mid-May. So her neck's fucked up. It's not I think it's not limited mobility, but she can't really do a whole lot. So Danny has to drive her to and fro uh to physical therapy on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And Danny works Wednesdays and Fridays. And so I'm like, "Okay, so I know your schedule. Uh, is there a day that you want to do this?" And she's like, "Well, when are you available?" And I'm like, "Well, I could probably do it on a Friday night or a Saturday night because sometimes I can just tell Donald, like, if we're going to plan it on a Friday, I can be like, Donald, I'm not coming in Saturday. Or Donald, I might be in late. Don't know. Like, I could get, like, I don't know what's going to happen that night. She could want to go out to eat and go to a bar and grill and have a few drinks, whatever. I could get fucking drunk and I'm not going to want to get up in the morning. And so she's like, "Well, let's try for a Friday. That way, if it doesn't work out, we can bump it to the next day and then you don't have to worry about turning into a pumpkin at midnight." And I'm like, "Okay." So the plan is this: Danny's mother is going to babysit baby Oscar for like 4 or 5 hours, give or take, Just enough time for Danny to go out to see a movie, drive to and from the movies, and get something to eat with me. Tess is going to drive us. Great. Tess decides to get high and drunk, and that completely ruins our plans because she blows off Danny. Like, Danny got all set and fucking Tess never responded to her. And I was texting Tess being like, hey, just wondering when you and Danny are going to get here because I took a shower like an hour and a half ago and I'm just sitting here. The movie's going to be like, we only have a few showings we can go to. Never happens. We bump it to the next day. Tess apologizes. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I got a little overboard yesterday. It's fine. We can work something out. Okay. Does it again. Next plan. We're going to go try and see it on a Tuesday. And we're going to go on a Tuesday because it's her day off. She doesn't have to take her mother to physical therapy until a certain time in the afternoon, which is perfect because she can just, her and Tess can immediately just drop her off and just head towards me. This time, to make up for what she did by blowing up both our plans Friday and Saturday, Tess will babysit the kids for a few hours. Take them to the park. That'll give us time to eat, sit down and have dinner. She'll pick us up. That'll give time for Oscar to see Danny before before me and her go to the movies. Okay, does it again. She blows us off. And so since then, we have not been able to actually hang out cohesively one-on-one. Danny's car is fixed, but that goes into Danny's car just recently got fixed, but that leads into the other problem. Oscar. So Oscar's pissy with her and me. Apparently he doesn't like the fact that his now incredibly hot single ex is talking to somebody else. But he's pissed off at me, apparently, especially because we're cousins. Let me explain. So, Sten, if I remember correctly, said it was like a week ago this happened. I get finished work. I finish work. My brother didn't go into work that day. Uh, I think I've mentioned Prime. It's a gas station in town. Danny works there at the fast food joint inside. And Tess gives me a ride. And I'm like, I got to throw gas money for you. I got to throw you some gas money. I'll throw you $5 for gas. And I need a pack of smokes. She's like, that's okay. We can go to Prime because I got to fill out a Dunkin' Donuts application. This place has a fast food joint in it in one corner, and then another corner a Dunkin' Donuts. And Tessa's mother works at Dunkin' Donuts. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And she's like, oh, Danny just got dropped off. Just got dropped off. And this is around the same time that I found out that Oscar looked through Danny's phone because Danny needed a ride to bring baby Oscar to the doctors. And Danny was tired because she works from like 4 to 9 in the evening. It's like a third shift kind of thing. And baby Oscar doesn't really have that good of a sleep schedule, so he's usually up all night because when she's got him during the day he sleeps and during the night he's up. And she's been trying to get him on an actual normal time schedule. And it's kind of difficult with a 2-year-old. So she was really tired, and Oscar decides, hey, she has a phone. Her phone's unlocked. Let me just flip through the messages. And he read through all the messages that me and Danny were sending to each other, and that's what pissed him off. So he decided to take it upon himself to drive her to work. And so I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We can go by. We're just getting down the road from the shop, and we take a right to go onto the one of the main roads in town, when we see Oscar in his shitty beat up red truck drive right by us. And Tess goes, "Oh my god, that was Oscar." Ah, that's okay. He'll probably think you're your brother. I'm like, no, he'll know. He knows your Jeep. He knows your Danny's friend. He's gonna fucking turn around anyways. So we go to Prime. I walk in. I buy a pack of smokes. I throw $5 towards gas. Tess is filing out her gets her application. She sits down, starts doing it. Danny waves sheepishly at me because who's behind me in line at the counter? It's Oscar. And he's giving me the stink eye. And I'm like, oh, lovely. Here we go. So I walk over to Tess and I'm like, Tess, are you almost done with that damn thing? And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go pump gas. She's like, okay. So I walk out and I go over to the Jeep and I toss my pack of cigarettes on the dash and start pumping gas. I pump the fucking gas. I close the lid, walk back in. I walk right past Oscar, who's still waiting in line to buy his scratch ticket. I walk over to Tess and I'm like, how much is left of this damn thing? Because not only am I absolutely fucking exhausted and filthy, I just know what the fuck's going to go down. Oscar's here because of me, and he knows that me and Danny are talking, and he don't like that. She's like, oh, okay, well, just smoke a cigarette or something. I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah. So I walk outside, and I reach for my back pocket. I fucking cigarettes in the Jeep. So I'm like, fuck it. And there's this lady standing next to the trash can smoking a cigarette. I'm like, excuse me, dear. Do you have a cigarette I can buy off of you? She's like, oh, well, my cigarettes are inside. Uh, Give me a second. And so she hands me her cigarette that's half smoked, and I'm holding on to it, waiting. And so she comes back out, and I try giving her a dollar, and she's like, no, no, it's fine, dear. These are rollies. These are like, that's fine. You don't have to pay me. So she hands me two. And just as I'm lighting that fucking cigarette, she's like, wow, you look exactly like your father. It's Tess's mom. And this is the first time I've met Tess's mom. And so we start talking, and she's telling me about how I look like my father and blah, 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 and complimenting me and whatnot. That fucking front door of that shop goes swinging right open, fucking hits the lock. Out comes fat fucking troll troglodyte Oscar. And he starts screaming, Bub, you better not be talking to my child's mother. Doesn't even call her by her name. Not once did he ever say her name during his one-sided rant. I'm just standing there smoking my fucking cigarette, just sizing him up. And Tess's mom immediately runs inside the shop to tell Tess. And from what Tess told me, Tess's mother told her, uh, Darth just fucking tensed up and it looks like he's ready to throw down with Oscar. Get your Jeep, finish that fucking application later at a later date. Hurry up now. And Oscar had his friend Justin with him, who I didn't see. And so Tess's mother basically stayed inside the building waiting because she was going to throw down with Justin if he like tried to gang up on me. And the entire time, Oscar's just screaming and yelling and hollering at me. just telling me, how can you do this? We're cousins. You don't do that to your own cousins. Like, we're family, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I'll give you the first punch. I'm giving you the first hit. And I'm sitting there in the back of my head, I'm thinking, like, for a solid 15 to 20 seconds of his ranting, he was telling me how badly he wanted to beat the shit out of me and kill me. Like, word for word, he told me that once he was done beating my ass, he was going to fucking curb stomp my head in and kill me. And I'm sitting there going, wait, you're telling me how badly you want to beat the shit out of me, but now you're offering me the first punch? Mm-mm. I ain't taking that bait. That's bait. Insert random meme of is this bait? Yes, yes, this is bait. Because Oscar's on probation for a charge in Florida because, and this again shows you how much of a piece of shit human being he is, he decided to buy a fuck ton of pot while he had Danny and the baby with him in his car, and he was trying to drive it from Florida all the way to Massachusetts and got slammed with drug charges. So he's on probation. I know this. I also know Oscar is a gigantic quivering pussy. Not just for the fact that I know his father, and if his father wanted to beat somebody's ass, he'd just beat their ass. But I also know this because one, he's offering me the first punch because that way he can just trump it up as a self-defense charge and he doesn't get in trouble. Two, if I do swing on him, he'll just go, "Oh, well, the reason why he knocked me out in the first fucking blow is because I gave him that. I gave him that first punch. He got lucky." Also, he's just running his mouth and not doing anything. All he's doing is yelling. And when Danny came out, because it's in front of her workplace, she tells Oscar to leave because she doesn't want him fighting me and she doesn't want me fighting him. And she even told me, please don't fight him. Not right then and there, but at an earlier date, she told me, can you, like, please don't fight Oscar. And so he immediately points at her and says, get back inside, cunt. This is your fault. And she just immediately looked down, spun around, and immediately just rushed back inside. And with the way he said it, the way he acted, there wasn't a single fucking drop of hesitation at all. And I'm like, okay. I really want to bite. I really want to bite on this fucking bait. Oh boy, do I want to bite on this fucking bait right now. Because if you want to push my fucking buttons, it's doing that. It's doing that. Being that much of a piece of fucking shit. Like, barking at someone like that without any hesitation. Calling her a cunt. Mm-mm. No. No. That's gonna piss that's what pissed me off. She's telling you to get the fuck out of here. One, you're doing this in front of her workplace. You just dropped her off. Her boss should know about you because you're the father of her kid. And she's been working there for a few weeks now, and he's probably asked her about you because you dropped her off. You've come into the Prime all the time to buy your fucking scratch tickets, and you probably come over and ask how the baby is. So he probably knows that you're the fucking father of the kid, and now you're screaming out in front of her workplace, causing a commotion, which may cause her to get fired or reprimanded. Who knows? Two, Danny Out of the two of you, Oscar, Danny is the only one that knows how I fight and knows what I have done in the past. So she knows what I am capable of. And you do not know a fucking thing about me. But I know a lot about Oscar. Like the fact that there's a kid named Trevor who I know who is also a big pussy, but apparently my 30 also Oscar is like mid 30s. He looks like he's about to turn 40. Uh Trevor is 22. He is almost a 40-year-old man is afraid of a 22-year-old. He's afraid to he's afraid he's going to get the shit beat out of him by this kid. And Trevor is a fucking idiot. And Trevor beat him for drugs. And the number I keep hearing is he beat him for $3,500 worth of drugs. Also, one of the chicks that he was cheating on with behind Danny's back with, her boyfriend or husband found out, chased him down, and Oscar locked his doors of his truck and sat there while the guy just beat the shit out of his truck with an axe. Totaled it. Oscar was too afraid to hop out, but he'd run his mouth about, "Hey, I'm fucking this dude's like, haha, he's a cuck. Haha, oh, I'm fucking his wife, or I'm fucking his girl. Haha, I'm the big man on campus." Oh, but when the guy finds out, um, roll up those windows, hit lock on those doors. And when he said that to Danny, I took a step forward, and Oscar took two steps back behind his truck door. And his friend Justin probably had the most common sense between the two of them and told Oscar, "Oscar, let's go. Get inside the fucking truck now. Let's go. Let's just leave now." And he's not saying it in a stern lecturing voice. He's saying it in a dude, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but I kind of want to leave now kind of tone. Like a very worried tone. Tess immediately pulls up, and it's only been like this whole thing I'm describing, this whole fucking situation took place in like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Just him constantly saying, "Take the first swing, come on, let's go, let's fucking fight. I want to beat the shit out of you. I want to fucking kill you. How could you do this to me?" All of it. Minute and a half, 2 minutes tops. Tess finally pulls up. She starts honking her horn. I'm still standing there. Haven't said a fucking word. It's just staring him down. Most I've done is take one step forward. She finally gets out of the Jeep. She walks over. She starts tugging on me, grabbing my arm. "Let's go. Come on, let's go." And I just looked to her and said, "Not until I finish my cigarette." And I just went right back to looking at Oscar, smoking my cigarette. Once I was finished smoking my cigarette, put it down, put it in the little ashtray thing, and I walked off. And immediately he lit a cigarette and he just kept on ranting, talking about how fucked up I am and how fucked up everything is, and how could she do that, man? How could she be doing this with my cousin? Blah 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 blah. Just in one ear, out the other. Absolutely fucking pointless. I did not take your bait. I did not take your bait, good sir. Good day. I'm gonna wait. I'm just waiting my time. God, I'm getting my back muscles are all tense now. Just biding my time. Just biding my fucking time. And the only fucking person that has drawn any anger towards my actions is my brother. He's the only one that says you should have swung at him. Everybody else in my immediate and online circles have said you did the right thing. You did the right thing not swinging, because you would have been the cops would have been called. He would have shown that you swung first. They have cameras everywhere. Even if you beat his ass, you would have gone to jail and he would have gotten a slap on the wrist. Plus, it's just a waste of time. Oscar's giant pussy. The only time he's probably going to confront you is when there's witnesses and it's in his favor. And I had already come to the conclusion of, even if I beat his ass, even if I beat his ass when I get my chance to, when I get my chance, if I get my chance, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Nothing's going to change. The status quo will continue. The status quo will continue. And I'm talking, I told Josh this, and he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Josh, say I beat his ass. I literally wire his jaw shut in a fight. I completely decimate him. He's still going to run his mouth. He's still going to talk shit about me. He's still going to harass and treat Danny like shit. So there's no point, so the ass beating I just threw down on him had no consequences for him. He's not going to say it as loudly, possibly, but there's still going to be a chance of him wanting to fight me again. Possibly. I'm not sure how stupid Oscar is, because I don't know him fully. If he beat my ass somehow, it's not going to stop me from talking to Danny. I'm still going to talk to Danny because I want to talk to Danny. And the only person that's going to stop me from talking to Danny is Danny herself. That's it. So again, the status quo will not change. And the funniest thing is what Donald told me, because my brother decided to tell everybody at the shop what happened the day after. And Donald just sat down and smiled at me, and he's like, "You did the right thing, boy. You did everything by the books, and you did the right fucking thing." He's a fucking idiot and a pussy. It's not going to change anything, even if you did swing on him. Plus, he can, and this is the part that made me laugh and smile. Yeah, he shit talked you, puffed up his chest. But who's going to be fucking her? Not him. And that's what made me laugh and smile. Because, like, yeah, that's pretty much the fucking truth of the matter. Like, yeah, like, you made yourself look like a big tough guy by offering the first punch, even though you're the one who apparently is just dying to fuck. Like, you're salivating at the thought of putting your fist in my face, but you're not going to fucking do it. I'm still going to be like, well, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm still going to be fucking Danny. So, tough cookies. Like, again, like there is no outcome that ends with him just leaving her alone and only dealing with her when it comes to spending time with his son. None of that's going to happen. It's all pointless. Like, exactly. It's going to perpetuate a cycle. That's it. It's just going to perpetuate constantly. No winner. Well, technically, there'd be a winner in the sense that I'm still going to be talking to Danny and Danny's still going to be talking to me, but that's it. And like the biggest concern I have with the whole situation is how he's going to treat her. That's it. Because her car is technically his car, and on the whim of a fucking dime, he could be like, well, I'm taking my car back. And then she's fucked because now she's not going to have a way to transport her mother to physical therapy. She won't be able to take the baby to his appointments. She won't be able to do anything unless he confirms it. Like, she just put 2 new wheels on it. I think Monday. I think it was Monday she put 2 new wheels on the car. She needs 2 more, and then she needs the axle alignment uh, done to it. And she has every goddamn light in that fucking console on. So probably the battery, fucking the engine. Oh god, I'm trying to remember all the fucking lights on the dash of on like the console of a fucking dashboard. But she's got all these lights, and the biggest concern, the one fucking thing stopping me from seeing her right now, the only fucking thing is him. And it's a reasonable thing, because if the car breaks down, which there's a chance it might, because a fucked up axle and 2 fucked up tires, if it breaks down like in town, and she tells him, well, I was trying to get groceries, or I was trying to get gas, or I was taking my sister to school, or something like that, he won't get suspicious and he won't take the car away. But if she breaks down while I'm with her, he gonna take the car away. So fuck. But don't worry. I got some plan. I got some plan. Darthy boy has an idea. Or a few. A few solutions to the situation. So I'll be doing that soon. Soon. I'll be executing Order 66 eventually. Possibly. Possibly. Might be doing that. Not sure. I am also considering, because my cousin Pitts has a truck parked at the shop right now. She's kind of a junker, but I'm thinking of asking my cousin Pitts if he wants to sell it, and I'll just throw him, like, say he's like, oh, well, you are you are George's son, I'll sell it to you for like 400. I just throw like $100 a week, and have his shitty little beat up pickup truck, which it's a Chevy. It's a GMC. So it's like a shitty little GMC. Like, I'm not sure how the brake pads on it, because apparently my cousin just loves fucking burning through brake pads. Uh oh. But yeah, there's a bungee cord holding the front bumper, and like I said, it's a junker. But I mean, if he's willing to sell it to me, and it's in good enough serviceable condition to where, like, I'm not going to be spending an arm and a leg fixing like the things that absolutely need to be fixed on it. Like, I'll just, I'll drive that. Now nobody can stop my plans. So that's one idea I've got. That's one idea. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. Phew. So that's my personal drama thus far. Boy, has it been a fun fucking month. Ugh. Absolutely fucking amazing. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say wild, but I would say it has been a crazy month. It has been a crazy month. Oh, oh, totally forgot. Sunday, I jumped out of a Jeep while it was moving at like 35 miles per hour. And Dan and Sten know about this. Ah, fucking dirt in my eye now. I gotta clean my eyelashes better. Ugh. So, so this is what happened. Uh, couldn't hang out with Danny. I had made Saturday. Okay, so I was working Saturday, which this past Saturday sucked for work. Uh, we had to go sweeping. We swept for like, th- let's see, we started at 7. I think we finished at 10 o'clock. 10:30. We finished sweeping a parking lot, which is just right up the street from the shop. Like not even a 5-minute drive. We finish, we get back, hot as fucking balls, 82 and like 100% humidity. I'm getting Vietnam flashbacks because of the heat. And then the rest of the time was spent hauling all the chippable pieces of brush. Oh fuck me. Give me a second. Sorry about that. My brother decided to leave his phone on while he went out to the store. So, anyways, uh, so we had to haul all the fucking big chunks of brush out of a brush pile that's been sitting at the shop for like 4 fucking months. We start chipping everything, and like around 11:30, everyone's like, "We're done. Like we can't deal with this shit anymore. Like we're not dealing with this fucking stupidity." So I call up Danny, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm done with work." Because she had already gotten her car by this point. I'm like, "Hey, I got like I just got done with work. Do you want to do something today?" Because we had talked earlier in the week that uh you have to go home and take a shower, right? I'm like, "Yeah, I'm covered in fucking dirt from sweeping, and I'm covered in just fucking the remains of done." Tyler decided to go out, and my brother decides to get pissed drunk. decides to drink a lot. Fuck. And we stopped by the shop to say hello to my father because it's Father's Day. It was Father's Day. And I got him some caserla sandwiches because I know my father and he loves caserla. And my brother is a horrible driver, especially when drunk. And he decides, hey, let's go into the fucking state forest. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not gonna deal with your drunk ass. And he started going faster and started going faster. And I said, fuck this. So I opened up the back passenger seat and whoop, jumped out. Only thing that broke, my cigarette case. That's it. That's the only fucking thing. Sadly, for some people that might listen to this, it wasn't my neck. I still live. I still live, people. I'm sorry. I still live. Hey. All right. Uh, hang on. I gotta get a cigarette. But yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened Sunday. And so just been bullshit work all week. Um few good things that I've been thinking of. One, it's totally insane to me because I've been I believe I've talked about uh this cyberpunk webcomic. I believe I brought it up quite a few times, but I have a cyberpunk webcomic series I want to do based around Shadowrun stuff, but kind of like take chunks out of Shadowrun and Cybertech or Cyberpunk, wherever the fuck I think it's Cyberpunk 2077, the pen and paper game, and then the Shadowrun pen and paper game, and the Shadowrun pen and paper game that I played in quite a few years back. I want to take ideas from that and make it into a webcomic. Um, so I had some ideas, like I just had like an artistic spark, and I'm like, oh wow, what like, and it came to me because my father and me were having a 15-minute argument over the classification between a town and a city. And I told him that because I fully don't understand the legalities of or differences between a town and a city, but I was like, well, the difference between a town and a city is probably population size and density because you can have a small city, but you can have a really large town. So that's probably how it works. And he's like, nope, it's just it's oh god, how did he word it? I think his argument was age. If it's old, if it's really if it's really old, then it's a town. But then I told him the city I'm living in right now is as old, if not older, than the town we grew up in. And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what the fuck to tell you." So I looked it up. I looked up the classification, and it's a legal thing. Towns can have really high populations, like I think it's 20,000 to 100,000 is a large town, but like cities can also have like close to 100,000 or and more, obviously. but it's voted upon by the people that live there also, and a little bit population density. And so while I was looking at the classifications in settlement hierarchy, I saw megalopolis. And I'm like, oh. So I clicked on that. And the insane thing is, me and Sten technically live in I think it's the Boss Wash megalopolis, which is, and this is mind boggling. Like, it just opened up this scale to me. From Boston to Richmond, Virginia, are connections, just not just by streets or highways, but urban. You could go from one side street from Boston all the way down to Richmond, Virginia, and go there just by side streets. That's how densely populated and urbanized it all. And that's the Northeast megalopolis or super city. And then you have one in the Great Lakes, and then that's got a subsection for the Rust Belt, and that goes from Pittsburgh all the way to, I think, Minnesota. And then you have the California like super city or whatever, like megalopolis, and we've got like 6 or 7 of the fucking things. But the hilarious thing, it's mostly the North and the West Coast. I think Arizona has a small little one. There's a small little one, and I think around Denver, like around the Colorado area, and then there's one around Texas. And then there's the three. I think it's the three bananas in Europe. There's the blue banana, which Dan is a part of. The green banana, and I think it's the golden banana or yellow banana. And so I was like, oh wow. And that just kind of sparked like it just sparked the uh the cyberpunk webcomic idea in me. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, so I can I'm gonna that's amazing. So now I'll have now I know where I can have these megalopolises. I don't even know the plural of a megalopolis. Megalopolis, megalopoli, megalopolises. I don't fucking know, but yeah. So I can set it in the Rotten Apple, which is future New York or Neo Manhattan and Shadowrun, but I can also set it in other sections of Boss Wash. I think that's, or Boss Was. I forget the full. I think that's the name. Boss. It's either Boss Was or Boss Wash. And then there's I think it's Cascadia, which is the sea, like the North Pacific or Northwest Pacific. And then like I can have stories set in all those megalopoli. I'm just going to use that. So that kicked in. I've been listening to a lot of dystopian cyberpunky music. Perfect soundtrack to listen to for that would probably, and I'm nowhere to lie, it's actually pretty damn good. The animated Batman: The Dark Knight Returns soundtrack is great. Um, Listening to the first Terminator soundtrack, that's probably the like, if you want the tone or musical thematic to the superhero webcomic I want, just listen to the Terminator soundtrack. Like, that's the tone right there. Very dark, very foreboding, grim. That's probably the best word, grim. Like, literally Spider-Man Kyle Reese, and then a Wolverine mobster, a Lex Luthor Iron Man, that kind of shit. God, I really fucking I really want to see it animated. I'd rather see it animated than just be a web comic. Plus, it's going to be set in the 80s. not like a future like 2077 or something like that. Like, no, fucking hardcore 80s, like early 80s to 88. Cold War is still a brewing. Fucking all kinds of insane shit. Like, just a lot of cyberpunk. A lot of cyberpunk shit. Like, I don't know if I'd want to explain it fully. Why there's like, I kind of want to explain it, but at the same time, I don't. But yeah. Plus, I'd be able to have David Bowie and Freddie Mercury in it alive instead of like. Josh was like, "Why don't you just have them as holograms?" I was like, "Fuck that! I'd rather be able to be like, hey, Freddie Mercury, Freddie Mercury is still making the great fucking albums that he was making at the time. Kiss took their face paint off during this. Like, there are fucking superhuman beings going toe to toe against each other, throwing cars and busting through fucking buildings and stopping bank robberies, while Kiss and shit are like just doing their thing. And David Bowie's having concerts and stuff. Plus, there's shadow runners. Like, I kind of want to make David Bowie a shadow runner or some kind of fucking figurehead, because I feel like in a cyberpunk dystopian like 1984, like I could see, and not 1984 as in like, the book. I mean like the year. But like fucking David Bowie being a main character or something, that'd be badass. David Bowie, I miss you. Still too soon. Still too soon. Um. Oh, okay. Uh. So I've been having a massive argument with Josh over this. Fallout 76. It's gonna break the lore. It's gonna break Fallout's established lore. And you can sit there and tell me, well, it's not going to, Darth. Yes, yes, it will. It will fucking shatter the lore. It will shatter the lore. One, the bombs dropped 20 years ago. The bombs dropped 20 years ago. Yet every fucking clip from the teaser and the trailer and from screenshots, it's a lush West Virginian countryside. It's a lush fucking, it looks like it's pristine fucking land. How? It is well fucking established that, if I remember correctly, from the Fallout Bible, that, you know, the creators of Fallout wrote, everything was burned. Like, practically all of fucking California and the West Coast is desert and ash and radiation. The entire US was bombed into oblivion by Russia and China. Every fucking nuclear power launched their nukes and their payloads. Everywhere was nuked. Everywhere was nuked. And it's like, no, West Virginia was untouched. It's like, no, no, it wasn't. How are there giant like, and then I'm talking to Josh, and he's like, yeah, but there's super mutants and stuff. I was like, you can't have super mutants. You can't have super mutants 20 years after the bombs dropped. You can't. And he's like, well, why not? I'm like, Fallout 1 establishes that super mutants were created by the Master. Like the super mutants we see now were created by the Master in Fallout 1. And they're there in Fallout 2. And in Fallout 3, it's established that they were being tested on in I think it's Vault 86. I think that's the one, Vault 86, that has like the the where you find Fox. But like those are all like what, 200 years after the bombs dropped? Also, when the FEV leaked out, like when the FEV started leaking out of the Mariposa base, like it took decades for the FEV to affect the wildlife. Just on the West Coast, where the FEV virus was being contained, and if I remember correctly, it didn't leak out of Vault 86. It was just all used up by the super mutants. But oh fuck, Christ. Oh god, I'm trying to think because I remember in Fallout 1, I think it's like a whole week the planet was on fire. And then after that, it started to rain like black radioactive elements along with the soot and ash and all the other content, like all the shit produced from the nuclear fallout started just coming down for like almost a whole week. And that wiped out like practically all the species on Earth that survived the initial bombings. Like everything fucking else started dying, and only a few plants and animals and people survived that after the rain. And it just and like across the entire Earth, it is now a barren wasteland. And West Virginia is just, fucking intact. Even though in the Fallout Bible, Vault 76 is close to DC, and DC was bombed into fucking oblivion. But hey, you know, goddamn. Then you have oh fuck, what else? Uh God, the fucking God, I'm trying to remember all the other shit that me and Josh have been arguing about this. Like we've been arguing. We both have on we have a mutual agreement that the gameplay of it is kind of meh. Like it's a Minecraft Fallout edition. You go around collecting resources and you build up your settlement, which you can pack up no matter how, because I'm not really looking forward to it, so I'm not looking into it that much. But from what Josh told me, no matter how big your camp is, you could build a massive fortress. It packs up into your little camp pack, and then you can walk it off somewhere, and then you can just unpack it, and that whole fortress just pops back up. And whatever breaks in it, like when you pack it up and unpack it, those things will still be broken and you just have to repair them. And I'm like, that's stupid. That is fucking asinine. Like, if you're going to have a consistent world, why do that? Why do that? Can other people pick up your camp? Because if so, that's a way griefers will be able to grief. And then from what Josh was telling me today, you can only get the nuclear launch codes from doing story missions and getting the repeatables after you've completed the story. And when you nuke something, you will unlock like really high tier rare loot. And it'll just be a deadly radioactive fucking crater. And he's like, so basically it's a waste to nuke people. And I'm like, not really, because if you nuke them and their campsite, because apparently their campsite will still be there, and that's where they spawn. They're gonna spawn in a radioactive fucking crater, and they'll die from the radiation, unless the radiation plays off, like I think Fallout 4, where you have some time, like you have a brief moment to try and get away while it just starts dwindling your HP and like shrinking your health bar before you finally just kick the bucket. But even then, it's like, yeah, you've effectively just destroyed them. There's like the only way they can survive is that they just pack up their camp and then die, because then I think they're going to be immediate. I think from what he was saying was they just immediately respawn somewhere else, and now they have to spend all their time trying to rebuild their fucking camp. And now you can just go over there and collect all your resources. The other stupid thing is it going to be like fucking Breath of the Wild for durability? Like, me and him were both talking about that. Like, is it going to be like, oh, five shots with a pistol, it breaks even at full uh durability for balance? Or is it or is it just going to be like normal Fallout? How hard is it going to be to get power armor? Like, apparently in the fucking gameplay trailer, somebody just sees a bunch of people just walk by a suit of full uh oh god, is it T56? I think it's T56B armor, like the iconic Fallout 1 power armor. People just walk by it, and then finally one dude's like, "Hey, wait a minute. This is some badass power armor." And then they repair it and now they're wearing it. Is that what's going to happen? Like, can you just randomly find power armor? T51. Thank you, Sten. Uh, Also, apparently, monsters, creatures have different levels. Like, I guess they showed a test footage or gameplay footage, and it's like, oh yeah, there's 4 people at like level 10 fighting a level 50 giant bat. And I'm like, wait, so there's going to be random levels? Like, it's not going to scale with you or anything like that? It's just going to be random? Like, I could be a level 2 character just wandering through the woods, not too far from my spawn point, and just a level fucking 80 feral ghoul just jumps out. Also, that's another thing. Um, Feral ghouls. I can't remember in full detail how feral ghouls are made when it comes to how instantaneous it is, but I do know that feral ghouls become some ghouls become feral after an extended period of time. The longer they're alive, the more they become feral. And so when you find most feral ghouls, they're just crazy. They've lost their mind over over the centuries. How's that going to work? How are ghouls going to work out? Are ghouls going to be a plenty? Like, eh. I already know they're gonna have super mutants. You can't have a Fallout game without super mutants. Can't do the Brotherhood of Steel. I told Josh that you can't have the Brotherhood of Steel in the game because the Brotherhood of Steel has just been born. They were just born like a decade ago. Because the survivors from the Mariposa research base mutinied right as the bombs were dropping and they left. And they went to fucking Christ, Sandy Hills. I think it's Sandy Hills or something Hills bunk. They went to a bunker in something Hills. I think it's Shady Hills or Sandy Hills or whatever. And they're just entrenched there right now, and they're trying to survive the fucking fallout. Like, they're not going to become the Brotherhood of Steel for quite some fucking time. So you can't have the Brotherhood. You can't have the Enclave because the Enclave aren't doing anything. The Enclave actually start dealing with like mainland United States in Fallout 2, which is, if I remember correctly, like 150 years into the future. Uh fucking you know, Brotherhood is so like you have three main fucking iconic factions. Not fucking feasible. Not feasible. But they're probably going to have them in it. Like I said, you can't have a Fallout game without Brotherhood of Steel. And you can't have a Fallout game without super mutants. You could do one without the Enclave, because, again, the Enclave practically got fucking killed in Fallout 2. And then they decided to bring them back in Fallout 3, and again, they got killed. It's just stupid. Fallout 76 is stupid. And I told Josh, I was like, you want to know the reason why Bethesda is doing this? And he's like, what? I'm like, the reason why they're doing this is because now they don't have to work on now they don't have to worry about Fallout 5. Because once they do Fallout 5, their rights will transfer back to I think it's id Software that owned Fallout at the time, like before them. I think it's them. Christ. No, Interplay. That's it. Interplay had him. Like the rights will transfer back to Interplay because if I remember correctly, Bethesda has made a deal to make 3 main series games, and they have time to make side games in between those 3. So they're milking this. Like, look what happened with like between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. They made Fallout New Vegas, Fallout Shelter. Christ, I forgot what else they did that was Fallout related. Like, oh, they have the Fallout phone app. All kinds of shit. All kinds of shit. Then you have Fallout 76 coming out. I'm sure they're going to bring out some kind of fucking phone app for that. Uh, fuck. Uh, I don't know. They might have. Uh, Christ. Oh yeah, I think it's Bethesda. I think Bethesda's the ones that killed fucking the Fallout pen and paper game. And then Bethesda killed the MMO version of Fallout that Interplay was working on, and they won, which pissed me off. Just an overly complicated thing. Fuck. Just fuck. Just bad. Oh yeah, there's gonna be no NPCs in the game. That's another thing that makes no sense to me. Like, so you can play this game by yourself. Then what the fuck are story missions? Like, what are the like? Not only is this a Fallout game, it's a Bethesda game. What kind? Like, how can you have a story be told without some kind of NPCs or some kind of like details? What are we just gonna do? What I do in Skyrim for the majority of my play sessions, which is just read the books to actually get a decent story. Zing. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad. Bad, bad, bad. Awful. Fuck. Oh yeah, that's right. Fucking Bethesda's doing Fallout Wasteland Warfare. That's another thing I forgot. Bethesda wants to milk this so badly. They're making a tabletop war game for Fallout, and then they made a board game titled Fallout, and then they fucked over Glutton Creeper Games that were making a Fallout pen and paper game, and so now it's called Exodus. And it's like, not only shouldn't I be alone because it's a fucking vault that just opened 20 years after the bombs dropped, but here's where this is where it breaks the lore. Why isn't this civilization? Why isn't Vault 76 this massive thriving community? Vault 76 was one of, like, I think 5 base vaults with no test in them. And I believe they also came with 2 Gex. Why didn't they use both? And why aren't they thriving and have a city built? Because that's the thing. The vault is supposed to be, like, if I remember correctly from the Fallout Bible, everything in a vault is supposed to be able to be disassembled and then rebuilt into structures outside. And it's only the overseer's office is supposed to stay, and that has all the data and information of all of humanity, books, medical logs, medical journals, documentation of animals, plant life, etc. All of that, everything humanity possibly needs to continue on, is inside each computer. And if I remember correctly, in the original lore, the Gex had seeds, and the materials needed to build, like water pumps, purification filters to filter out the radiation, all kinds of seeds for crops like flour, for wheat, vegetables, grains, etc. And if I remember correctly, further than that, uh, it also was a small nuclear reactor which could be used to power a small settlement that could accommodate all the people that lived in a vault for a time. And it would give them detailed instructions on like objectives, like, okay, well, now that you've built this small nuclear reactor holding station, and now that we've shown you how to grow crops and stuff and how to make farms, build shelters adequate enough for everybody, like, now that your population is now set, now that it's time to expand for, like, so that when the population starts to grow, you'll have breathing room. You won't have to worry about shortages. And now Bethesda's made it so that the Gek is a fucking Genesis device. Which again, if you have two fucking Geks, why haven't they used them? Why isn't like West Virginia fucking overly populated with fucking like 2077 Americans? Like Americans that witnessed the bombs drop and know everything. Why isn't it a technological superpower? Like where was Vault 76ers, like, or yeah, Vault 76 Vault Dwellers in Fallout 3? It's just a stone's throw away from DC. Where is it? Where are they? Like, you can't say they did not fucking learn how to survive if they've been in the wasteland just 20 years after the bombs dropped. And if people are like, oh, but Darth, you know, maybe the Enclave killed them, or maybe super mutants or Brotherhood of Steel. Like, no, again, super mutants won't appear for a century. Fucking the Enclave won't appear for a century. The Brotherhood of Steel won't appear for, like, I'll say 50 years. Ghouls, ghouls will be around, yes. Not in fucking droves. Mutant animals, okay, that were affected by radiation, not the FEV virus or just the forced evolutionary virus. Again, that's in Mariposa Base. It's spreading through the atmosphere right now, changing animals slowly. Like, humanity has time. Like, calm the fuck down. Also, if I remember correctly, by the time for most Fallout games, everyone is immune to the FEV virus to some extent. It's so diluted. It's so diluted into the atmosphere. But being dumped in it, that'll change you. That's why super mutants are super mutants, because they already have some FE, if I remember correctly, because they have some of the FEV in them already, or because of the radiation fucking up their genes, they turn into the common super mutant. To get the smart super mutants that retain their intelligence and into like their mind, you need vault dwellers, people that weren't affected by radiation. That's why the master was hunting down vaults and cracking them open with his dumb, brutish super mutants. Ta-da! That's the lore established in the first game. Again, why aren't these motherfuckers, surviving? Christ, Necropolis was a vault that's door was designed specifically not to close. And they fucking survived. And they built a city. Necropolis. Full of ghouls. Totally fine. So again, Bethesda, you can't fool me. You can't fool me, gingerbread man. I see through your lies. Uh, oh well. I'm gonna go get something to eat. Probably something to snack on after I eat what I want to eat. And then I'm probably gonna veg out watching YouTube videos. So thank you, Dan and Sten, for coming by. If you guys want to keep talking, you guys can just shoot me a message on Skype. Um, ring that bell, even though I know nobody gives a fuck anymore. But yeah. Uh, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will try and do a stream soon. I promise I'll try. Like, hopefully it won't be another two-part fucking like month long exile kind of thing. So, catch you guys later.